There's a movie where a mom and her child physically melt together into one creature that screams with both of their voices. And surprisingly, nobody has heard of it. I've watched this movie 3 times to figure out what makes it so damn scary, and it shocks me that absolutely nobody is talking about it. Well, this is the story of A Color Out of Space. It came out in 2019 and basically nobody saw it, which is weird because it stars Nicolas Cage and involves people getting turned into meat blobs, and you would think that would get more attention. The movie follows this family, the Gardners, who moved to rural Massachusetts to start fresh. The mom, Teresa, just had surgery for breast cancer, and they're doing that whole let's escape the city and heal in nature thing that people do. The dad's name is Nathan, and he's played by Nicolas Cage in what I can only describe as normal Cage for like the first third of the movie. He's trying to raise alpacas on this farm. Alpacas. He calls them the animal of the future, with complete sincerity, which should have been the first red flag that this family was doomed. They have 3 kids. Lavinia's the oldest, and she's a teenage Wiccan who does rituals by the river because she hates living in the middle of nowhere. Benny's the middle kid, who's kind of a stoner and is just vibing. Real shit. And then there's Jack, who's maybe 8 years old and ends up being the creepiest kid in this movie without even trying. So they're all settling into farm life. Things are tense but normal. And Theresa's working from home as a financial advisor, trying to get Wi-Fi in the woods. Nathan's dealing with his alpacas. Lavinia's carving symbols into trees and probably listening to Evanescence or whatever. It's standard normal middle class family stuff. And then one night, a meteor crashes into their front yard, and not just near the yard, but in it, right next to their water well. This thing comes down glowing this bright magenta color that doesn't look natural. It's making weird sounds, and the whole family runs out to go look at it, because apparently when a space rock lands into your yard, the correct response is to gather around it. The meteorite's just sitting there, pulsing with light, and they're all standing around it going, huh, weird. During a thunderstorm that night, lightning keeps hitting the thing over and over. It's glowing brighter each time. You would think that someone would be like, hey, maybe we should leave, but no. They just watch. By morning, the meteorite's gone. It has completely vanished, and there's just this burnt spot in the ground with some weird residue. The sheriff shows up, and some news people come by, but there's nothing to see. Nathan's trying to explain what happened, but he sounds insane because 1, he loves alpacas, and 2, a glowing space rock crashed but then disappeared is not a story that makes you sound stable. Also, if you're that guy and you like alpacas, people already don't trust you. Here's where things start to get wrong, but in small ways at first. A hydrologist named Ward is surveying the area because they're building a dam nearby, and he tests the well water. It's got this oily, shimmering look to it, and when he runs a test strip on it, the strip starts glowing that same magenta color. He tells Nathan, don't drink the water, don't use the water, which is great advice that not one person actually follows. Strange plants then start growing near where the meteorite landed. Flowers and colors that don't exist, bugs that look slightly off, and Jack, the youngest kid, starts sitting by the well and talking to it. Not talking near it, but talking to it. He tells his family he has made a friend in the well, which is the kind of thing that you hear from a child and then immediately check for carbon monoxide leaks in your home. But things are already changing in ways that aren't obvious yet. Nathan and Teresa start having these mood swings. Nathan goes from being cheerful to screaming about nothing in seconds. His tomatoes grow huge overnight, and he's excited about it until he tastes one and it's completely inedible. He has this meltdown at dinner where he's smashing tomatoes and yelling, and his voice changes mid-rant. He starts talking in this weird affected tone, almost a mocking tone. It is deeply uncomfortable. Time then starts breaking. One night, Benny goes outside to round up the alpacas. He's out there for what feels like a few minutes, and when Nathan gets back from the hospital, oh yeah, we'll get to that. It's been hours. Benny has no memory of where the time went. He just lost hours standing in a field. The hospital trip happens because Teresa, while making dinner, chops straight through 2 of her own fingers. She's cutting vegetables and she just keeps going right through her hand. She doesn't stop, she doesn't react, she just keeps cutting. Jack sees it happen and starts screaming, and that's what finally snaps her out of it. There's blood everywhere, and Nathan rushes her to the hospital, and during all of this chaos, nobody's really processing that things are very wrong in a way that isn't normal. When Nathan gets back that night, he's different. He's angry at everyone for no reason, yelling at Lavinia for not watching Jack, yelling at Benny about the alpacas. This is not how he was before. The color, and yeah, that's what it's called, just the color, is already in him. In all of them, actually. They've been drinking the water, breathing the air, and eating food grown in contaminated soil. Lavinia knows something's deeply wrong. She's into witchcraft and occult stuff, so she breaks out her copy of the Necronomicon Yes, for real, and tries to do a protection ritual. She cuts symbols into her own skin as a blood offering, sitting at the kitchen table while pink lightning flashes outside. This is a teenage girl so desperate to save her family that she's mutilating herself with magic she barely understands. Obviously, it doesn't work. That same night, they're screaming from the alpaca barn. Benny and Jack went to check on the animals, and something happens. Teresa runs out to help them even though she just got home from the hospital with her mangled hand, and that's when the color hits them directly. There's this bolt of energy, this pure magenta light, and it strikes Teresa and Jack together. When Nathan and Lavinia get to the barn, they find them fused. Not standing close together, but fused. Mother and son are now one organism. Their bodies have merged into this single mass of flesh with both of their faces visible, and they're in pain. The sound they make isn't human. It's both of them at once, overlapping, this wet gurgling noise because their mouths don't work right anymore. They're conscious. They know what happened to them. That's the part that makes it so much worse. They're aware. Nathan and Olivia drag this thing back to the house and lock it in the attic because they don't know what else to do. You can't call 911 about this. Their phones are dead anyway. They're full of static. The car won't start. They're trapped on this farm with whatever this thing is spreading from the well. And the alpacas, Nathan's beloved alpacas that were supposed to be the animal of the future, well, they've fused too. All 6 of them have melted together into one mass with multiple heads, just bleeding in misery. Nathan goes to the barn, sees what happened, and shoots the thing until it stops moving. He's covered in blood, holding a shotgun, and his wife and son are a monster in his attic. He's not okay at all. He's ranting to himself. His eyes are doing this thing where they are too wide, and he takes the shotgun upstairs. He points it at the Teresa Jack creature. He's going to end their suffering, but he can't pull the trigger. He stands there shaking, eventually just leaves them in the dark. Lavinia and Benny try to escape. They're going to take the family horse and just ride away from this nightmare. But when they get outside, the horse won't go near the yard. It panics and bolts into the woods. Then Benny hears the dog barking. Sam, their dog, has been missing since the night before, and Benny swears he can hear him in the well. So Benny leans over to look, and something grabs him. He's yanked into the well so fast that Lavinia barely sees it happen. Just gone, pulled down into that magenta glow. Lavinia runs back, but Nathan catches her, and Nathan is gone. His mind is completely shattered. He grabs her and drags her upstairs and locks her in the attic with that creature that used to be her mother and brother. Then he goes downstairs and sits in the living room, hallucinating that his family is fine. He's setting the table for dinner, talking to empty chairs, pouring drinks for ghosts. He thinks everything's normal. In the attic, Lavinia is trapped with this fused creature, and it's not her family anymore. It's something that wants to hurt her. It lunges at her, trying to bite, and she's screaming for help that isn't coming. Ward, the hydrologist, and the sheriff show up because they've been hearing about weird stuff happening in the area. They find Nathan in the living room, completely out of his mind. They hear screaming upstairs and break down the attic door. Nathan follows them up, and he finally sees clearly for 1 second. He shoots the creature multiple times. His wife and son are dead. They're really dead now. He killed them, and you can see on his face that he knows what he just did. Outside, the color erupts from the well. It's a column of light shooting into the sky, and the whole farm is glowing. Reality is bending, trees are moving, and Nathan stumbles outside and starts shooting at the light, which obviously does nothing. The sheriff thinks Nathan's shooting at Ward and shoots Nathan. He then dies in Lavinia's arms in the yard while his farm dissolves around him. Ward and the sheriff try to save Ezra, this hermit who lives on the property, but when they get to his cabin, Ezra's already dead. He's mummified in his chair, and there's a tape recorder running. Ezra's voice on the recording explains what the color is doing. It's terraforming, remaking Earth into whatever environment it came from. While they're listening to this, a mutated tree outside grabs the sheriff and kills him, and Ward barely escapes. He runs back to find Lavinia standing in the yard, eyes glowing magenta bright. She's not herself anymore. The color has her, and then it shows Ward what it is. He gets this vision of an alien world covered in the same color, full of tentacled creatures and landscapes that don't make sense. It's showing him where it came from. Lavinia speaks, but it's not her voice. And then she disintegrates, just turns to ash and light and blows away. The color then shoots up into the sky in this massive beam, and Ward barely makes it to the wine cellar before everything explodes. When he comes out, the entire farm is gone. It's not destroyed, but it is gone. It's just gray dust. Everything. The house, the barn, the trees, the animals, the family, all have been turned to ash. The color drained it all and left. And later, they flood the area to make a reservoir. Ward stands in the dam, looking at the water covering where the Gardner farm used to be. He says he'll never drink that water. The movie ends with a mutated insect flying past him. The color might be gone, but it's left something behind. So that is our story, but it doesn't explain why nobody talks about this horror movie and why it's actually so scary, but again, it is never brought up. Well, here's why I think so. Most horror movies give you something to point at within the first 20 minutes. A ghost shows up, a killer appears, whatever. But this movie makes you wait. The meteorite crashes, disappears, and then for a solid chunk of time, nothing obvious happens, which sounds boring, but it's actually worse than watching something actually trying to kill you. Small things go wrong. Flowers bloom in colors that feel off. Bugs look almost normal, but not quite. Jack talks to the well and everyone acts like kids just do that sometimes. The adults start snapping at each other over nothing. Nathan's tomatoes get huge overnight and taste wrong. Time glitches out for Benny and nobody can explain it. Teresa cuts off her own fingers and doesn't even notice she's doing it. What's happening is you're watching the contamination spread in real time and the characters are already infected. There's no moment where the danger arrives because it arrived the second that meteorite touched down. By the time anyone thinks to check the water, they've been drinking it for days. The food's bad. The air's wrong. They're breathing in particles of this thing and it's rewriting them from the inside. There's no we need to get out before it's too late moment because it's already too late. It was too late the second they went outside to look at the glowing space rock instead of driving away. You can't escape what's already inside you, which is why watching them try feels so terrifying. Jack's sitting by the well making friends with something in the water. Benny loses hours standing in a field. Nathan's personality changes mid-sentence. These aren't external threats that they can run from. These are their own brains that are turning against them. The paranoia builds because you can see it happening before they do. You're watching people slowly realize they're not in control of their own thoughts anymore. Every strange decision, every weird pause, every mood swing. You don't know if that's them or if the color's making them do it, and neither do they. The contamination implies that it could be cleaned up, but it can't. It is cosmically indifferent because the color isn't contaminating the earth, it's replacing the earth. And it's not doing this to be evil or because it hates humanity. It's doing this just because that's what it does. There is no villain here. No monster with a motivation that you can understand or exploit. The color is terraforming the planet into something it recognizes. And if you happen to be standing there when it does that, well, that's a you problem, not an it problem. You can't reason with it, you can't fight it, you can't make it stop. Trying to kill the color would be about as effective as trying to punch the concept of Tuesday. It exists outside of anything humans can interact with in a meaningful way. That's what makes Lovecraft so hard to adapt. You're supposed to feel small and irrelevant in the face of something so alien that your entire existence doesn't register to it. Most movies fail at this because they try to give the cosmic horror a face or a weakness or a reason. They try to make it some ancient evil that wants to destroy us, but that is not cosmic horror. That's just a monster movie. This movie gets it right by never pretending the color cares. Ward sees the vision of the alien world at the end, full of creatures that evolved under the magenta light, and there's no message there, no warning. No communication, just this is where I'm from and I'm making your world into this now. The universe is full of things that don't know you exist and wouldn't care if they did. Every other Lovecraft adaptation tries to make the unknowable knowable. They explain too much, show too much, and turn it into something that you can put in a box in a label, but you can't fight what you can't understand. And the Gardners never had a chance because the color doesn't operate on rules that make sense to humans. It just is. And now they aren't. So abstract dread is one thing, but the movie gets strangely physical and shows us some amazing body horror effects. The Teresa Jack fusion is the image from this movie that most people cannot forget. And there's a reason for that. It's not just that they're stuck together, but it's that they're conscious. Both of them are aware. You can see both faces in this mass of flesh and they're in pain and they know what happened to them. That's different from a body horror scene where someone transforms and stops being human. These are still Teresa and Jack. Their minds are intact. They're just trapped in one body that doesn't work right. The scene where Nathan has to shoot them is worse than watching them fuse in the first place. He's standing there with a shotgun pointed at his wife and child, and they're making these sounds and he has to pull the trigger. That's his family, the people he moved to this farm to protect, and the only way he can help them now is to end it. The movie doesn't cut away and you watch the whole thing. The alpaca's fusion is presented almost as a warm-up. Nathan walks into the barn and finds his 6 alpacas melted together into one organism with multiple heads, all bleeding at once. He shoots it without hesitating because they're animals and he can be practical about animals. But that scene exists to show you what's about to happen to his family. It's training you to understand that living things are just material now. The color doesn't care about boundaries between bodies. Lavinia getting locked in the attic with that creature is pure panic. It used to be her mom and little brother, but now it wants to hurt her and she can't get away from it. The betrayal isn't that her dad locked her in there, it's that her family stopped being her family and became something that doesn't care if she lives or not. But now if that wasn't enough to terrify you, the movie goes on to decide that your eyes and ears need to suffer too. So here's something weird about magenta. It doesn't exist. Like, yes, we can see magenta. You're probably seeing it on screen right now, but it's not an actual color in the light spectrum. Red exists, blue exists, green exists, but magenta is just your brain inventing something to fill in the gap when it sees red and blue at the same time and no green is visible, which makes it perfect for representing something that shouldn't be possible. And that's what the color is. If this movie was able to be seen by an interdimensional being, the color would be a new concept that we don't even know what it looks like. Obviously, we are humans, so we can't see that, so they've used this really bright neon magenta to represent that. That's very important to understand. But it's so key here that the filmmakers picked a color that's already fake to represent this alien force. And somehow that works better than any CGI monster could. Once the color really starts spreading, the whole movie drowns in this neon pink. Everything glows, the sky turns purple, trees pulse with light, your eyes start hurting because there's too much of this color that isn't real. And that's before reality starts folding in on itself during the finale. Space bends weird, the house stretches, time breaks, you're watching the Gardner farm get deleted from existence in real time. The movie throws every visual effect it has at you to make sure you feel it. But the sound design is what really gets under your skin. Colin Stetson did the music, and I don't know what instrument makes those noises, but I hope it stays far away from me. The score starts normal enough. Piano, strings, standard horror stuff. But then it turns into these high-pitched electronic screams mixed with a low rumbling that you feel in your chest. When the color is active, there's always this frequency happening that makes you tense without knowing why. The final sequence is a full assault. Strobing lights, distorted sounds, everything on screen melting and warping while this horrible noise builds and builds. It's not fun to watch. You want it to stop, which is exactly how Ward feels, standing there while his entire understanding of reality gets shredded. The movie makes you experience a fraction of what he's going through, and even that fraction can be too much. So why is this so scary when most Lovecraftian adaptations just fall flat and are completely horrible? Well, timing mostly. The slow build gives you time to care about these people before destroying them. You meet the Gardners as a normal stressed family trying to heal, which makes watching them deteriorate actually hurt. Nathan's not just guy who goes crazy. He's a dad who wanted to protect everyone and instead had to shoot his own wife and child. That matters. And also think about the casting here. Nicolas Cage is often used as this like lovable dad energy character, but recently he's been doing a lot more badass serial killer like psycho type vibes. That was done on purpose. The transition between lovable dad to indifferent cold killer was super important here. The movie also commits to being genuinely alien. There's no reveal where someone explains what the color wants or where it came from in a way that makes sense. Ward gets that vision of the alien world and it answers nothing. It just shows him that humans are irrelevant to whatever this is. Most adaptations try to make cosmic horror digestible, which completely defeats the point. This one lets it stay incomprehensible, and the practical effects ground everything. The fused creatures look real and wet and wrong in a way that CGI wouldn't. You believe those are actual bodies merged together because they move like they're in pain, not like pixels on a screen. The Color Out of Space came out in 2019 and got buried by bigger releases, which is why most people haven't heard of it. But it's probably one of the most effective cosmic horror that's been made in the past decade, and not because it's trying to be the scariest movie ever, just because it understands that the universe doesn't care about you, and sometimes you get caught in something so far beyond human understanding that your only option is to stop existing, which is a tough sell for a movie poster, but at least it's honest and it commits to the bit. So yeah, if you somehow made it through this video without already knowing about Color Out of Space, maybe watch it. or don't if you value sleeping normally. The mother-son fusion scene will stick with you whether you want it or not, which is probably a good test for whether you should even start it. Let me know in the comments if you've seen this and if it messed you up as bad as it did me, or if you think I'm wrong and there's a better Lovecraft adaptation out there, which I doubt, but I'm open to being proven wrong. Make sure to like this video, hype it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our future uploads. And if you want to watch another one of our videos right now, you can click the video on the screen.